So let's talk then about Splatoon's post-launch plans, which Nintendo just basically lifted the veil on and painted a clearer picture, Ryan Payton, of what you're getting on day one, and in some cases what you're not getting on day one. So on day one, you're getting Turf Wars, you're getting the promise of an unlocked ranked battle mode, which they've already sort of told us a month ago, I think, that the ranked play won't open until later, until the population, the global community reaches level 10. A certain number of those people do that. But what we found out from the stream was that party matchmaking will not be in the game until August. We found out that additional modes, weapons, and gear is also coming post-launch. And for both announcements, there was no commitment to a schedule. I mean, at least party matchmaking got August. The new modes and weapons, it's very unclear how quickly after launch this stuff is going to, and how regularly this is going to be tossed into the mix here. You're laughing.
I'm laughing because
I'm kind of laughing.
No, I think
I'm crying on the inside.
The funny thing is, I think Nintendo pulled a fast one on people and got away with it. Like, just seeing the feedback on the announcement was pretty positive.
Yeah, and I was very surprised by that. I even tweeted as a result. I was like, "Hey, how do you feel about Nintendo's post-launch Splatoon plans?" And it was mostly a mix of positive responses. There were a few, "Hey, why isn't this stuff there day one?"
And so I think what people are reacting to, like, there's been a lot of negativity around DLC, right? Like, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Best DLC I've probably ever seen was Mario Kart, right? Like, I think Red Dead Redemption had awesome DLC where it was absolutely worth paying for. Mario Kart nailed it. Such good DLC. And there have been a lot of announcements, like, The Witcher, you get this announcement, like, hey, all these small things we're releasing for free. Awesome. You pay for a big expansion pack. I'm totally fine with that. Some weird stuff around Batman where it's like, oh, yeah, this big open world game, you're going to get, like, all this paid DLC,
But they didn't tell you what it was.
No, they didn't tell you what it was. So I was like, I don't know. I don't feel great about that. This game, they're announcing, you're getting all this great support. We're in it for the long haul. Great positive message. But then you look at what's in the game, and that is not a positive message. 5 maps in a game that feels very much like a multiplayer-only experience. I know people will say, no, it has a campaign, but it's a Titanfall campaign, right? It's not a true campaign, isn't it?
No, I would push back on that. There is a what seems to be a decent campaign, and there again, I've only played 5 levels of it, to be fair. But if I think at one point during the Direct, they show the gamepad screen, it has like 28 nodes on it.
Okay.
If it is 28 nodes of a campaign, 28 levels, let's say that could be enough to at least keep you busy, but for the multiplayer aspect, it absolutely does nothing.
No, fair enough. What I'm seeing, though, is like you get something that was designed for a multiplayer game, and they're creating a single-player experience out of it and adding more stuff to it, right? Like, but so I was expecting the multiplayer experience to be really beefy right off the bat, and 5 maps is not that.
And there were concerns on this show that, like, hey, why are they being so stingy with with the amount of content? Like, you don't want to paint the picture that Splatoon doesn't have a lot going for it.
Yeah,
especially
launch.
at what, $49.99?
It's $59.99.
$59.
I checked Amazon.
Yeah, single player better be pretty robust, or this is a problem. Like, and it just feels bad when you buy this game, you put $60 towards it, which, in my opinion, as each year goes on, the $60 game has to really, really have a lot of value for you to justify that purchase. And the $60 ecosystem is now all about this value add, like this Xenoblade game you're talking about. That sounds like a great value at $60, right? That's why games like Batman and Skyrim and Borderlands, they do really well. And so for this game to compete on that level, they're going to have not only a very robust single player, but the multiplayer mode should be there on day one because you're paying for it up front. No?
Yeah.
No. But that's the interesting part. Like, you can't be too mad, right? Because they're not saying you're not going to get extensive content. They're saying it's going to be released over a long time. So it's almost like a TV show you pay up front for, right? Like, it's if you pay for the entire season of the Walking Dead game on day one, you're going to get all these episodes. You know kind of what you're getting. And that's why I appreciate what Nintendo has done. They're saying this is a long-term rollout. Yeah, but that said, it isn't anything to celebrate either when, like, the core game is missing a whole bunch of pieces on day one.
And there's nothing wrong with adding some additional modes post-launch. I think that's fine. I think adding additional equipment, adding additional weapons and gear, like that stuff, I think that's 100% fine. But as a reviewer who has to put his hands on this game and put a score on it, knowing that party matchmaking is not there day one, that custom games, I left that off. Custom games are coming in August with party matchmaking.
It's so bizarre.
It's just, it's hard to
Like,
really understand
the
what
strategy.
what the
Correct me if I'm
reasoning
wrong,
here.
but the strategy probably should have been don't announce these things, and when more or less like what happened with Mario Kart, announce it 200cc later. Maybe they had these plans, but how awful would it be if like before Mario Kart comes out, they say we have 200cc, but it's coming out later. We're gonna unlock it later.
Yeah.
For
That's a
free.
great point.
But Mario Kart is a loaded package of tracks and characters, right? Like even from the get-go, that was not a game that was lacking content.
True.
You could argue battle mode, but like there's a lot there. Whereas like this game seems to be, I mean, to me it seems like they just aren't ready to give you all the stuff, and they haven't tested every map yet for it being awesome for multiplayer. They're not holding it back.
And the DLC to Mario Kart
They're still working on it.
addressing things that were missing. Like
Yeah.
the battle mode, like there are people still asking for battle mode. Move on. They're not giving that to you. Like I firmly believe like that ship has
That's
sailed.
too bad. Well, we only have Monkey Brian because Monkey Brian feels very
would
strongly
lose
about this.
His stuff on me right now.
Well, there's good news though that one of them doesn't have voice chat as one of the things they're gonna unlock later. As somebody who doesn't like it.
No, that's completely gone too.
No.
Wow, not having voice chat.
Yeah, I think that's a huge. I was like thumbs up when I heard that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want the internet talking to me while I'm playing video games. I love Journey. That's one of my favorite.
But I want
features of
Jose
Journey.
talking to me.
What's that?
I want Jose
Let's get a
talking
Google
to me.
Hangout.
Not
Skype.
the
Get on Skype.
internet.
Get on Skype.
Get on Skype.
No,
he just
come
likes
on.
to troll, especially when he plays Mario Kart.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I like.
You guys are wrong.
The number one feature, the best feature of Journey, is that there's no voice chat.
No, so I agree. I think Journey though used it to make a point and create a really positive experience. And like, I agree with you. I don't want to be running around and then some like little roped guy goes like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, no.
No, that's like. Oh no, I welcome that. It's the other stuff.
Yeah, no. It's all about friend chat. Where like, yes, there are workarounds, but I would love
Fair
to
enough.
just be able, like Mario Kart. Like I would play way more with friends.
That's true.
If the entire kind of like friend system, invites and chat, were little. What the heck was that? Some like cable fell from the wall or something. But if that was just really well tweaked from the get-go. But
Yeah.
I think we've moved past that, and so now we've got the question like, are you cool with buying a game where the promise is, you will unlock more over time? And ironically, I think it's actually really close to Animal Crossing in that way. Like, when you buy Animal Crossing, you are not going to be able to play for 14 hours straight on day one because Tom Nook ain't going to give you a house.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like,
true.
it is in a way, it is refreshing and unique, but when you compare it to how you purchase other games, it's weird, and some people are going to be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely see that. I'm just going to round out the rest of the stuff they announced for the sake. For weapons, they showed a new one called the Ink Brush, which looked really cool. It moved faster than the Splat Roller. Splat Roller is my favorite thing, by the way. You're at Zen when you're just painting this, like, you're just paving a road of color in those games. Like, I like that. There's two modes, Tower Control and Rainmaker. They said nothing about Rainmaker. Tower Control looks like a fun twist to some degree. Like, there's a tower spawns in the middle. You have to basically ride it into past enemy territory and into yours. And then the last thing was they hinted at up to 9 multiplayer maps added over time. But, like, what is that, one a week? Like, one every 2 weeks? Even... Let's talk about this beta. I mean, there's
The Splatoon test.
global test
Yeah.
fire, which you should have just called it a beta. I think saying the word demo is a bit misleading, to be fair, because this Splatoon demo does nothing outside of those windows of time.
They're not calling it a demo, are they?
They call it test
They
fire.
said
Global
they
test-
called it the global test fire, but they said you download a demo from the Wii
I
U
see.
eShop.
Gotcha.
Like, I just felt like that maybe or maybe that's just semantics. Anyway,
But it's
you are playing this game for only 1 hour at the appointed time, and then that's it. And then you have to wait until the next hour that it happens, and then you go away, and then
Which
you have to wait
what
for
happens
the
to be
next
what
hour.
on the West Coast it's like 4 a.m.
one is 4 a.m. So
It's
actually,
4 a.m. Saturday at 4 a.m. was one of the times.
I put the Saturday evening and no, there was Friday
Friday
evening
evening.
and Saturday.
Yeah, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday when this is being recorded.
I put those on my kids' calendar, but I didn't put the 4 a.m. one because they would wake up
They
and
would.
play it. Yeah,
Oh,
of
really?
course.
You think so?
No, it's
That'd be fun.
very strange. Like, I don't know why the times had to be so limited and the window so small.
Because what do you want to stress test and have the times that most people?
That's
use time,
probably it, right? Nintendo had some issues back with the Wii, some of the Wii online games roll out, right? And I think they just want to concentrate the amount of users in a small time window.
4 a.m. on the West Coast in the United States seems like a very strange time to have a stress
Is
test.
that for the UK?
It is globally
and, yeah.
calculated like time. So
Yeah.
Japan stress test is the same time as ours.
Sure,
it's the same
sure.
time as Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, Japan is not going to have a lot of Splatoon players, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is mostly like a North American,
And Europe
Western
thing.
European,
Yeah.
targeted
I
audience.
don't know. I mean, like Mario Kart, there were a lot of people on from Japan when that shipped. So maybe,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting. I am
But-
assuming they're trying to create these gap moments. I hope though that they do a proper beta where they have it open for an entire weekend.
And that's what I want to stress is that this is more of most beta test, at least in my mind. My understanding of a lot of them is it's more, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but glorified PR. It's basically, hey, the game is done. We want to stress test it to some degree, but it's also, hey, this is what's shipping probably really soon, and we have to make sure that to some degree it works. It's a promotional thing to get you interested in buying a game.
As a huge fan of conspiracy theories, I like it, but I don't think that's accurate.
Okay,
I would say the majority of the time is that it is required. It's necessary.
it is necessary.
Yeah, and I think even when people were accusing like Destiny of using that as like a pre-order campaign, yeah, it's you kind of kill two birds with one stone. But that team needed that. They needed the alpha and they needed the beta.
Sure,
they needed
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I stand
Yeah.
corrected.
And I would say they're still beta testing that game at this point.
Oh man!
You gonna let him do that?
Would be
No, I played a ton of Destiny with Jose.
Guardian
so it's all
down.
good.
Game of the year.
No,
like,
but like
never inviting you to another.
I hear you.
team.
Destiny is a really unique experience in that like it is different from a Call of Duty where like you. In the end, a huge amount of people jump into the same like 5 maps. Like Destiny was very different, but like
Yeah.
that's why I feel like this game has a very limited set of maps, and it should be more like a Call of Duty beta test.
And the only reason I subscribe
Oh.
to that theory slightly is because I'm never convinced that much really changed when the game launched.
I have the feeling that it's more it's more of just like a how do you say
Will the servers handle how many people are jumping?
yeah,
in
just
on
like
the game
an
on day
assurance
one?
that on launch day we're not going to be jeopardizing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in lost sales because we screwed up on day one.
That makes
It's
sense.
kind of a self-reassurance.
But Splatoon does, to some degree, need
I think they
a
do.
PR push. And
Yeah.
so
Well, that-
limiting it to 3-hour blocks, 1-hour blocks, just seems like why would you do that?
But
if
maybe-
you're trying to convince
Maybe
people to
maybe
buy
a bigger
this
one's
game.
coming.
Yeah, but there's the question too. Like if you want to be cynical about it, right? You could say, well, maybe there's not enough. Like you give people a weekend, they're gonna go like, all right, I've played all the 5 maps, and then they look at what's coming out.
Maybe they
I
saw
don't
what
know.
happened with Destiny because that clearly happened with Destiny when people were just grinding the beta away.
Yeah.
When they finally got to their full game, their Earth was like this old news by then because they had already grinded so much of Earth.
That's
it
right.
kind of
Yeah.
became
That's
boring, and I
right.
actually think it did hurt some of the reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that game is Destiny is still more of a loot-based game, right? Like in the end,
Sure.
and so you do run out of like that freshness after.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't think you lose anything if you give at least one campaign level in that demo. Like, I think that's worth giving people a taste of that as well, so that they're not just waiting for these 3 1-hour blocks to play your game.
For the record, and this neither of you guys are going to agree, and actually all 3 of you guys here
Yeah.
are not going to
No,
agree.
he's agreeing already.
Yeah, he's
Hands
well,
up.
he
Yeah.
wants to. He's going to let me finish, but he's got something to say.
Uh-huh.
And that is that I actually think this is a really great candidate. As somebody who doesn't really like free to play games, I actually think in this game in particular for their audience would actually work really well as like a free entry point, just like Evolve I think probably should have been like a free to play where you can buy characters just like League of Legends, which I think is the most fair free to play model out there.
Yeah.
And for a platform that doesn't have a lot of a huge install base. You're asking for $60 up front for a very multiplayer focused game. That's a new IP that doesn't really. I don't think anybody thinks this game out of the gate is going to sell crazy amounts of units. It just sounds like they really. Oh, sorry.
No, I guarantee you they thought about this game as their lead free-to-play game. Like I'm totally with you. Like just the risk of introducing these new characters, this new brand that nobody
Right.
knows, right? Like it could be like Pikmin, where it's an awesome game and then not enough people play it.
right.
I bet you they thought about
They
it,
must have,
but they
right?
need the money right now.
Yeah.
They
Do
really
they?
need. Oh yeah, they do. They
But,
need
like,
to
hey,
show.
how much money? I think you could make an argument that the game would make more money. as a free-to-play title.
I think it's too much of a risk for them right now, where their investors are saying you need to sell more units and you need to monetize your
But
customers,
at the same time,
right?
those investors are pretty happy because they're making smartphone games right now because
Yeah.
they are
And they're
dipping their toe in like
let's
other
be-
areas for
It's
license
just
IP.
such a. I think it's
I hate to
such a
bring it up.
scary value
I hate to-
proposition for
I hate-
Nintendo.
And I'm sorry for bringing it up because I actually
Yeah.
hate this topic. Like,
Yeah?
it's like destroyed some of my love for video games over the past 5 years. Is this whole free-to-play
Right.
monetization model to begin with. But yeah, I just think like this is a great. I don't think I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard enough about Splatoon. I'll wait for IGN's review, but I haven't heard enough to convince me that I should pre-order this game or get it on day one for $60.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But if it was, goes like everybody can say the same thing. But like if the game was free, I would definitely try it out.
Yeah.
And if I liked it and I wanted to play more maps or more modes, I'd probably pay for this.
And they might still do that, right? We don't know what kind of demo plans they have. They might give you a demo where you can play like a single map or something, or get a timed demo of it
I'd
that
love
would
to try
get
it.
you in, right?
Yeah,
like
I need something-
because that's
I'm not gonna put what you're
that's
saying.
it.
I'm not gonna put $60 down in this game. It's a new IP that doesn't look super cool to me, right?
and so the reason why I am putting down the dollars is because like Nintendo has just surprised me whenever they pick a new gameplay concept where they are not king. They come in and they give you something really unique,
Yeah,
right?
which-
Like just
which
like
to
how
some degree this
Pikmin
has.
was the RTS, right? Like that's an RTS. It's a dead genre on consoles.
Yeah.
They come in, and you're like, oh my god, this is
No, it's
great,
awesome.
Well, yeah,
right?
when you look at this game's
sure.
Yeah.
particular angle, where it's like, hey, this is an action shooter, but the point isn't really to pop the other player. The point is to cover more territory.
It's a
than
territory,
them, or
yeah.
control territory in
Yeah.
a certain way, and the way you control it is very visual and doesn't really need voice chat. You can argue.
Right.
I think that is really cool.
So yeah, that's why I'm really interested in to play more. I set my alarm, my calendar invites to
4 a.m.?
to these times, not the 4 a.m. one. Come
No,
on,
don't
I'm
worry.
too old.
I'll call you. We
Yeah,
can make sure that we
my
get
kids
on at
will
the same time.
probably be awake already at that time. But like, are you gonna jump in on for the
I
stress
wish
test?
I could. I won't be. I'll
Okay.
be at a wedding, unfortunately. So.
Oh,
Oh,
Not at
well,
4
that's
a.m.,
good.
but I'll be
That's
traveling
good.
for the wedding.
okay,
Yeah.
got it.